Today we're going to find out if the TFV8 lives up to its name, the Cloud Beast. How's it going, everybody? This is Andy with Aston Valley Vapes, and today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Smok TFV8 Cloud Beast. Like always, we're going to run through the specs and then we're going to dive in and take a close-up look at it, see what it comes with, take a close-up look at the tank itself, airflow, some of the coils, all that good stuff. We're going to bring it back up top, talk about the pros, cons, price point, when you can expect to see this guy on shelves, and all of that good stuff. So the specs on the TFV8, it does have a 6 mil capacity, except when you are using the TFV8 coil. When you have that V8 coil installed, it has only got a 5.5 milliliter e-liquid capacity, which is still pretty big. The diameter of the tank is a 24 millimeter tank, so some of you guys might want to take that into mind if you're using a device that it's not going to sit flush on. And that is the base. The base is 24 millimeters, but the tank itself is 25 millimeters around. So it starts a little bit smaller down here, and then it gets a teeny bit wider, 1 millimeter wider, as it goes up, because they did make that glass piece a little bit bigger just so it can fit a little bit more e-liquid in there. The height on the TFV8 is 50 millimeters, and it does have a wide bore Delrin drip tip included on here. And as of the release of the TFV8, there are 4 different coil options, and this kit comes with 3 of them. There's the V8 T8 coil, which I have in there right now, and that is rated from 50 to 260 watts, but the best range on that is from 120 to 160. And all these different coils, they have a very wide spectrum of the wattage range, but Smok also goes in and gives you the best range. There's also the V8 T6, which is a sextuple coil, and that is rated at 0.2 ohm. And the recommended wattage range on that guy is anywhere from 50 to 240 watts, but the best range is from 110 to 150 watts. Then you have the V8 Q4, which is a 0.15 ohm coil, and that is rated anywhere from 50 to 180 watts, but the best range is 90 to 150. And then finally you have the RBA coil, the V8 RBA, which does come with this, and so far I am loving that RBA coil. Big thumbs up to Smok on that RBA coil. It's got an 18 millimeter deck, and that RBA head, it does come with a pre-built dual Clapton fused coil. It comes in at 0.28 ohms, and that is recommended to be vaped at 50 to 140 watts. So those are the 4 coil options that you have for this guy coming off the bat, but as you know, with the TFV4, there was a total of over 20 coil heads released through the lifespan of that tank. So you can definitely expect to see a lot of different coil options coming out of this tank, because Smok has definitely supported their tanks after the initial release. So while there is only 4 to choose from in the beginning, I think it's safe to say we can expect a lot more options here down the road. That's going to wrap up the basic specs on the TFV8. But before I go into the close-up, I want to mention the main differences besides the coil heads on the TFV8 compared to the TFV4, just so you can get a good understanding of what's the major differences. Besides the coil heads, I love these new coil heads. But they did increase the airflow slots on the bottom by 18%, so you do have a larger airflow on the bottom of this TFV8. And since they increased the size of the airflow slots, they also increased the size of the airflow tube that runs through the middle of this, and they increased that by 30%. So overall, the airflow is much better on this than compared to the TFV4. And they also filled the e-liquid hole that we're going to take a look at in the close-up, but I know a lot of people had problems filling their tank with that top fill on the TFV4, but on the TFV8, they have made that hole a little bit bigger, so it does make it easier with a dropper bottle to fill your tank. And finally, that RBA coil that comes with it, I like it a lot better than on the TFV4, those RBA coil options that you had. I'm a big fan of the TFV8 RBA. That being said, let's dive in and take a close-up look, see what it comes with, and take a close-up look at some of the features on this tank. Alrighty, here we have the packaging on the TFV8 Cloud Beast, as you can see right here. Here you can see it comes with 3 different coil heads, or as they like to call it, hyper engines. V8 T8, the V8 Q4, and the V8 RBA. Here you can see some specs on the back. If you want to pause the screen, take a look at that. You can see everything it comes with, but you're also going to see that here in a second when I open this bad boy up. On the side here, you have a little QR code to download Smok's app. As you can see, it is a stainless version and sample, not for sale. When you open it up, you're going to get Smok's standard little black box with the silver lettering. You will have the TFV8 sitting right in there along with a silica gel packet, but if you pull this open, you get a tiny little user manual here that just explains some more spec stuff and how to fill your e-liquid, changing your coil, and all of that fun stuff. Also shows you how to build the RBA. I'm going to be doing that in a separate video. I'm going to show you how to build this RBA from scratch. But it is nice that they included this as well, so you can see how to build your RBA if you've never done that before. If you haven't, I highly recommend doing it. You'll get a little authenticity card, quality control pass. You'll get some organic cotton, and this is for the RBA head. You'll also get some extra pieces here, some extra O-rings, some extra screws for the RBA head, and you'll get another e-liquid top fill cap. If yours was to rip or something, you'll get another one here to put on, which is fantastic. You will get some new and improved vape bands. These are a lot smaller than the previous vape bands, but you'll get 2 of them, and it adds a little bit of protection around the glass if you do want to put it on there, so that is nice. The orange one says keep on vaping, and the black one says TFV8 Beast tank. You'll get a hex key, which is helpful for the RBA. You'll get an extra piece of replacement glass here. You will get 1 extra replacement coil other than the one in there. This is the V8Q4. The V8T8 is the one that's installed, as you can see on there a little bit. And as I zoom in here for you, you can see on here it is a 0.15 ohm coil. The wattage range is from 50 to 180 watts, but the best recommended wattage range is from 90 to 150. So you can see that, and you can see these are nice beefy coils. They have the V8 logo right here on the side, Q4 on the bottom. And then you can take a look and you can see that beast inside of there. Wicked very nicely, and you can see that coil head itself in there. Just an overall well-looking coil, and I bet you the lifespan on these things is going to be fantastic. Here you have the RBA head, which I'm sure many of you are very curious about. I'm going to be doing a whole separate video on this RBA head and wicking it and giving my overall thoughts, but my initial thoughts is it is a great RBA coil. I would definitely say it is better than the TFV4 RBA head. It does screw off right here. You can see that pre-built dual fuse Clapton 0.28 ohm coil in there, which is fantastic. So if you've never used an RBA before, all you have to do is wick this bad boy up and you're vaping on an RBA head, which is fantastic, very easy to do, and that's why I'm going to put another video out covering just that aspect of it. But here you can see your deck. It is 18 millimeters, so you do have some room to work with here. For an RBA coil inside of a tank, I'd say this is one of the best I have ever seen. And it's probably right up there with the Aspire Cleato RBA head. So that is all that it comes with. Here is the TFV8 itself. You can see it is a 24 millimeter diameter tank, so it does fit very nice on the Sigelei 213. Those large cotton intakes right there, those are fantastic. There's 4 of those located on the coil heads, and it is just great. I've had no problems with dry hits whatsoever. You can see that adjustable airflow, and you can see it goes straight through, and it is increased compared to the size of the TFV4. They increased it by 18% on the TFV8, and it is overall a wonderful, wonderful airflow. Up top here, it swings open just like the TFV4 does. Just swing it to the side. And then there you do have the increased e-liquid hole there. It's a bit bigger than it was on the TFV4, so that is nice. I mean, if you don't get your dropper directly in the hole, you are going to have some problems. But this material is very bendable, so you don't want to just like put it on the side there. You want to stick it all the way in there and squeeze your e-liquid out, so you don't get any e-liquid spilled around here. And if you do that, you shouldn't have too many problems. And this hinge does stay nice and locked in place compared to the TFV4, which a lot of people had problems with it swinging open on the earlier versions. That is not a problem whatsoever on this. The wide bore Delrin drip tip on here is also removable, as you can see right there, but I actually do really like it a lot. You can see it with the top cap off. You can see that V8 coil. My e-liquid is right on that line about spilling over there, but it is not, and you can see in there that is a beastly coil, and it's absolutely fantastic so far. So here's that top cap itself. And as you can see here, this is what screws onto the top of the coil. So that coil has tons of airflow to come through because of how wide the diameter is on this. This just screws onto the top of the coil and you are ready to start vaping. Overall, fantastic, fantastic design. That is going to wrap up this close-up though. Let's bring it back up top, talk about the pros, cons, price point, release date, all of that good stuff. Alright, now that we've wrapped up that close-up, let's get into the pros and cons, starting out with the cons. As of right now, I really only have one con, and it's not even a big con. That might change down the road a little bit. If it does, I'm going to do a follow-up video if I can find some more cons. But as of right now, there's only one con. It's just a minor little thing that could be improved a little bit, and that is the top filling e-liquid. They did make the hole bigger, but with dropper bottles, you might still make a mess. Obviously, if you take your time and you're careful with it, you're not going to make a mess, but if you're trying to fill this thing up real quick and you're going from your bottle to the top of the tank, you might spill a little bit of e-liquid down the side. Again, not a big deal at all. That is just the only con I can find right now with this tank. Other than that, I am loving it. I know the hype train comes out for every single new tank that gets released these days, but I definitely do believe that this is one of the best tanks of 2016, and I'm excited to see what kind of coil options they release down the road. But for now, I am perfectly fine with what they do have, and the RBA coil is great. So that being said, if I do find any cons, like I said, I will definitely do a follow-up video and mention those. But let's get on to the pros for now. Number one is the flavor of these coils. These coils are absolutely fantastic. Not saying the TFV4 coils weren't, but these are fantastic coils. In the close-up, you saw how large those cotton intake holes are, and they wick perfectly. I've had no dry hits whatsoever just using it in regular wattage mode. The lifespan of the TFV4 coils was fantastic, so that is something I want to see on this. After using this for about 2-3 weeks, I will definitely update the description and let you guys know if that coil head is still running smooth. My second pro is the airflow. Just looking down the top of the drip tip, you can see those massive coils just sitting in there. So that airflow is coming through that base and it is shooting right through that coil, directly through the drip tip, and it's just an overall fantastic vaping experience. The airflow on this is much improved over the TFV4, even though that wasn't a bad airflow at all, but they made this even better. Another pro I have is that on the top fill, how the top cap swivels to the side there. Some people on the TFV4 are having problems where it would swing open by itself, so you had to put that vape band on top of it to keep it shut. Not on this one. The top fill on here, the swivel cap stays perfectly aligned. It's not going to swing open on you even if you're waving it around in the air. It stays nice and locked in there, so that is a big plus. Not something you're going to have to worry about. My final pro is the actual included wide bore Delrin drip tip. I am a huge fan of it. It does not get too hot, and I know a lot of people like to swap off their drip tips when you get a new tank, but on this one, I think you might be sticking with this wide bore Delrin drip tip because it's a fantastic drip tip, and overall it just adds a nice finish to the entire tank. In terms of price point, on AspenValleyVapes.com, we have it for $34.99 right now is the peak price. There will be a link in the description and a link popping up on the screen. The estimated release date is somewhere in the middle of June. Hopefully it is next week. Still waiting on the official word from Smok on when they're going to be officially released. Overall though, on this tank, a lot of companies try to rush the follow-up. On the TFV8, even if they did rush it, which I don't think they did a fantastic job. They listened to what people said about the cons on the TFV4. They improved it on this, and they made some beastly coils. This thing does live up to the name, the TFV8 Cloud Maker. It is a fantastic overall tank, and I give it 2 thumbs up, hands down. Let's go ahead and see how it vapes now. Right now, I've got the 0.15 ohm coil in here. I'm going to start off vaping at 80 watts. Let's break it into that best recommended range, and we're going to take it to the bottom of that range at 120 watts and see how it vapes. Alright, I've got it at 122 watts right now. Same coil in there. Let's see how it vapes. $120 watts, that is a very smooth vape. Still for 120 watts, obviously my preferred range is down in the 30 to 60 range, but 120 watts, I am still enjoying this vape a lot. Let's crank it all the way to 150 watts and see how it vapes. Alright, this is at 150 watts. Again, for 150 watts, that is a very smooth vape, but we're going to crank it all the way up to the max of their best recommended range, and that is at 180 watts. They do say this coil can go up to 260 watts, but I'm going to leave it here at 180, and we're going to see how it vapes at 180 watts. At 180 watts, it's starting to get a little bit warmer, but it's still not that super hot vape that you might be expecting from 180 watts. And overall, I still find it an enjoyable experience. I'm not personally going to be vaping it that high. I'm probably going to keep it around the 90 range, 80 range, somewhere in there, maybe even a little bit lower. But for those of you guys that do like to vape at the higher wattages, you can see the vapor production is fantastic, and the flavor is on point. It does not get too hot. It is a great overall flavor, even at 180 watts. Now, we also have some giveaway winners to announce. For the Inikin Coolfire 4 TC100 kit, the winner is going to be Stuart Parker. Please send me a message and I will get that shipped out to you. And the winner of the Coolfire 4 is going to be Dennis Young. I hope you had a great time fishing over Memorial Day weekend. Please send me a message and I will get that Coolfire 4 shipped out to you. In terms of the Cooper Primus giveaway, stay tuned to the next video and I will be announcing that. If you guys haven't already, we have an eGrip 2 giveaway going on AspenValleyVapes.com right now. There will be a link in the description and popping up on the screen. If you have any questions on the TFV8 or vaping in general, please leave a comment down below and I'll be happy to answer them. And if you did enjoy this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day and vape on.